my name is Tess. Today I'm gonna talk about the books I read this month. You know that already because you saw the title of this video. So yeah, this month I read 6 books, not counting the one I DNF'd. I also talk about that book at the last part of this video. But I'm very happy to say that I have a new favorite fantasy book and contemporary book. Sadly, there were disappointing ones. That's really a sad thing for me because I expected to like those books. The first book I finished this month was Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I listened to the audiobook, which was an hour or less than an hour long. It was narrated by the author himself and it's so good. Long Way Down is a young adult novel written in verse. Basically, the story takes place in just 60 seconds and it's amazing how the author successfully delivered a very important message even with the brevity of the story. This book deserves all the prestigious honors it got because the writing was really unique and powerful. If you don't know, Long Way Down is the story about Will, who is a young black boy who has a brother named Sean. Will plans to seek revenge after his brother was shot and killed, but carrying out that plan isn't that easy. So upon taking the elevator to leave his building, Will is greeted by a series of ghosts of people he knew. And from those encounters, he struggles to decide whether revenge killing is really the best idea to seek justice. The ending of this book will blow your mind. Also, this book is wonderful for introducing me to anagrams. Yes, I don't know anagrams existed not until I read this book. After reading this, I found myself searching for more anagrams. Anyway, I gave this book 4 stars. That's high enough for me. So if you want to pick up an easy to read novel that's worth your time, read Long Way Down. Another book I read this month was An Ember in the Ashes by Sabata Here. I gave this 5 stars because boy, oh boy, this one slapped so freaking hard. This book has been on my TBR for ages. I'm super late to this party, but hey, I showed up and I'm already excited for book 4. So An Ember in the Ashes follows the story of this slave and a great soldier of this empire called Marshall Empire. Both of their paths crossed and they have discovered that they share the same goal, which is to be free from the cruelty of the empire. This book exceeded my expectations. I love the world and the pacing of this book. I just thought that it was something unputdownable. Yeah, I completely enjoyed reading it and this is a solid first book in the series. After being so damn impressed by An Ember in the Ashes, I flew through the second book quickly, which is A Torch Against the Night. I enjoyed this book so freaking much. There were more crazy things happening in here compared to the first book and I still found myself being sucked into this world. Sabata Here has an incredible writing style. She is terrific. But I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Well, in Goodreads that's technically 4 stars because it's such an outdated app that up until now it won't allow us to give half stars yet. Anyway, I loved that this book kept on surprising me with plot twists, but I realized that there were certain elements of the story that confused me. I won't say much because you might be spoiled if you haven't read this one yet. Also, this book is a fantasy book, but I felt like it's more of a fantasy dystopian book. That genre does not even exist, but I thought of this book as more of a fantasy dystopian. That's kind of weird. Overall, this was an unforgettable read and 4 stars is still a great rating. Yeah, also, I read the whole acknowledgements and I was fangirling so hard when Sabaha mentioned that she admired Sleepwalking by Bring Me the Horizon. That song from my favorite band inspired her to write this book. If you don't know, I think it's obvious already, but I want to say it again. I named my channel after a band I love, which is Bring Me the Horizon, and Sabata Here is a fan of BMTH. Wow, I love her even more. I don't know when I'll read the 3rd book. Book 4 comes out this December, so maybe I'll get around book 3 by October or November. This is the gift of being late to the party. The next book I read was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I listened to the audiobook and the narration was also done very well. I think I'm the only one who just recently read this book because this book has also been on my TBR for quite a while now. Anyway, They Both Die at the End has this what we call death guest, which is tasked to inform people. Wait. Go. Okay, again, here we have this what we call They Both Die at the End has this what we call death gas, which is tasked to inform people when they're going to die. They're not very specific with it. I mean, they just call people and inform them that they're gonna face death within 24 hours. So here we follow the story of Rufus and Mateo, two strangers who just got a call from Deathcast. Both of them get to know each other through this Last Friend app, where they get to plan to live a great life before they die. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. There were beautiful and sensible lines from the perspectives of the characters we follow, but to be honest, this book made me question myself. Like, am I heartless for not being so sad about this book, for not being so affected by it emotionally? I was so confused what to feel exactly after reading this book because I thought this book would tragically ruin me, considering the title, the fact that I'm an emotional reader. But it didn't. It didn't ruin me. I felt sad, yeah, but it's not the level of sadness I was expecting to. You know what I mean? And I know we should focus on Mateo and Rufus bonding together on their end day and about this whole living a life to the fullest thing, but this is classified as a science fiction book, right? And I didn't like that it's just being thrown out in the novel that we have Deathcast who gets to call and inform people they're going to die without even giving us a bit of explanation how those people in Deathcast got those information. I want some things that big of a deal made clear to me as a reader. I know it would be so complicated to explain how that works, but it's science fiction. Explain how those things work because I don't settle for a vague concept. It causes an itch to my brain. Alright, moving on. The 5th book I read this month was A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Therese. I gave this book 5 stars. If I could give this book more than 5 stars, I would, because it's that perfect. I listened to its audiobook. It was amazing. By the way, this is one of the books I listened to when I was sick. This and They Both Die at the End, because during those sick days, I couldn't force myself to use my eyes while reading, so I figured it's best to try audiobooks. Anyway, this gem is all about Shireen, who's a Muslim girl and is tired of people being so rude in her, mainly because of her race and religion. Because of being stereotyped a lot, Shireen has this protective wall built on herself, but things change as she meets Ocean, who's really interested in knowing her. I'm very happy to finally pick this one up. If you're watching this and you haven't read this one yet, please read this gem. I learned and relearned a lot from this book, and I loved the characters in the story, specifically Shireen, who's really a smart, talented, brave, and badass girl. This also has a cute romance. Therese really did an incredible job writing this one, but I kind of had expectations already that this is really going to be an amazing book. I highly recommend this to anyone. I'm sure you're gonna love it as much as I did. So the next book I read this month was Love at First Like by Hannah Orenstein. This is mainly about Eliza Roth, who co-owns a jewelry shop in Brooklyn. So Eliza accidentally posted a photo of herself wearing a gorgeous ring on that finger on her Instagram account / her jewelry shop account, which has like 100,000 followers. Because of that photo, people assumed that it's really true, which skyrocketed the sales. And Eliza has also been experiencing financial struggles, so she figures that her personal life is actually good for business. She then decides to find a fake fiance and make that wedding a reality. So Eliza found this fellow entrepreneur man named Blake. They went out on dates, somehow they clicked, but the problem is that Blake isn't much of a social media type of guy, so he really has no idea about Eliza being engaged. Eliza was so pretentious. I thought I would love this book. I gave it 2 stars. It's trashy. The story is so lame. I mean, it's interesting at first because it's fake dating, but only Eliza knew that it's fake dating, so there's no fun in that. Eliza Roth was the worst part of this novel, and I hated that I had the thought that this book could be a 1-star read if situations were made opposite. Like if it's the guy seeking a fake fiancé and the girl is the one who is being so naive about this massive truth that the guy hides from her. Anyway, going back to the story, I really didn't like it. It was a bit creepy and mostly annoying and disgusting. Personally, I'm not comfortable with a story like this, and I realized that a little too late. Those are the books I thoroughly read this month. I can't believe I finally did this. Like, I've been wanting to do monthly wrap-ups since I started this channel, and I didn't have one in June because I only read 2 books and I DNF'd one, which was shattered me. So time to talk about the book I DNF'd this month. I bet you guys don't know what I'm referring to, so I'm gonna give you a clue. It involves smut. Yeah. A real crazy, dirty, band-worthy smut. Do you have an idea now? Yeah, I'm talking about The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty by Anne Rice, who went by the pen name A.N. Roquelaure for this novel. Did I tell you guys that I'm also into smut? I don't know. I think I've shared enough of my fondness for romance, so it's kind of like expected that I would love anything that involves smut. So right before I was sick, I tweeted that I'm happy to finally have an audiobook of this. Like, I'm getting myself ready to join in the SMUTIFY live show, which is a monthly live show hosted by my favorite Filipino booktubers. But I failed to join the live show because I was sick that time. Anyway, The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty was actually the book of this month, and I listened to its audiobook like 2 weeks after I recovered from my sickness, and that's exactly days after the SMUTIFY live show. And right before I read it, Jarm from Jarm's Chapter 1, who co-hosts the live show, had said something on her video that The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty was really so bad, like she won't recommend it to anyone. And also, I've read Gerald's tweet about this book, which got me the idea that this book is really not gonna be worth my time. But you know what I did? I still listened to the audiobook. I stopped at chapter 7. You guys, I should have listened to them. Like, this book is ridiculous as heck. I'm surprised to even reach chapter 7. So the author had like a sort of a disclaimer. She said reasons why she writes stories like this, and I admit it had some agreeable points, but oh my god, this book is a waste of my time. I'm pretty convinced that evil spirits did something to me to even reach chapter 7. I'm not even planning to give you the premise of this book because maybe it'll somehow lure you into reading it, but that's entirely up to you. All I can say is that I can't believe books like this has been published. I can't believe Therese died for this. I'm just thankful that this book has been banned in other countries. This is like the worst book I've read in my entire life. Please don't read this book. Those are my thoughts about the books I read in July. I think I had a great reading month. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. See you on my next one. Take care. Bye, babes.